Good morning. Today on Spotlight, a look inside one of the nation's most historic and successful social service, job training, and advocacy programs, Focus Hope. How is this organization addressing the community impact of COVID-19? Portia Roberson, Focus Hope CEO, will join me. And later on our Sunday morning program, Chris Collins, the president and artistic director of the Detroit Jazz Fest, will share with us this year's plans for Detroit Labor Day weekend tradition. I caught up with him a few days ago. It's Sunday, August the 9th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. And welcome back to Spotlight. Joining me now is Portia Roberson. She is CEO of Focus Hope. Welcome to Spotlight.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me this morning.
It is certainly our pleasure to be able to have you. COVID-19, what impact has it had on your organization, a legendary organization that's been around since 1967?
Yes, it has. I'm usually the oldest organization in the room, so every now and then somebody can beat me by a couple years, but 52 years, so long time we've been around. You know, COVID has had the same effect on us as it's had on everybody. It's amplified the need so much in our community. How many people were and are sort of living check to check, and when those checks stopped, really they had to come out and get food assistance help and, you know, help if they had their children at home. And so we really tried to step into the gap as much as possible. I'm really proud of our staff because we didn't miss a day. We pivoted as quickly as we could. And so we've still been feeding about 42,000 seniors a month through curbside pickup and home deliveries. We've been helping out with our Head Start families, and we've been doing workforce training, which is huge for us.
What have you seen the biggest increase in terms of need? What is it that when COVID hit after a couple weeks, you said, oh boy, we got real problems here. This is what we need to pivot to seriously address right now?
No question, Chuck, it's been food. I would say food for seniors. We actually had to, pivot and do curbside pickup and also home deliveries because seniors were homebound and they couldn't get out. Typically, seniors will come in and shop in sort of a grocery store setting for their food, but we had to pre-pack boxes to take them out. So, volunteers needed to make sure that we could get boxes packed so we could take those out, or people could just drive up and we could drop them into their trunks. But also food for a lot of our Head Start families, diapers, wipes, snack packs, other things we could give to them, because quite honestly, what happened is that parents had kids home for 8 more hours a day than they were accustomed to having their children home. And so in a lot of homes, there weren't diapers, there weren't wipes, there weren't the additional food sources that they needed to make sure their children got healthy meals 3 times a day.
And Portia, how are you doing on volunteers? Because COVID has made people, scared to come out, apprehensive to come out, just for their own protection and their own safety. So everyone's staying a little closer to home. Is that impacting your normal volunteer base?
It has. In the beginning, when I thought that there would be a drop off, we still had volunteers coming in, particularly in the afternoon at that time. And then we saw as people started to return to work or return to their workplace, we saw a bit more of a drop off than we expected. And now we're starting to see volunteers coming back. I should say that we immediately went in and marked our floor so people are socially distanced away from one another. We put hand sanitizer stations. We put portable sinks in. So we want to make sure that, you can wash your hands repeatedly. You have hand sanitizer available. We have masks for every volunteer. And we're making sure, again, that people stay sort of distanced away from one another. The one thing about volunteering, though, that's so incredible to watch is that people want to be together when they're doing good for other people. So we have to kind of remind folks, stay away from each other. You're doing great, but we want to make sure you remain safe. So people have been coming out, but we always, Focus Hope has always operated with the help of our volunteers. So we're always looking for people to volunteer.
Tell me a little bit about how the mobile service works, the packing service, because I understand you're actually having people deliver stuff, I guess, in their own vehicles, and you're giving them great guidelines in terms of how to be able to do this, to be able to help get this stuff out.
Yep. So I've done it myself a few times because, one, I don't want anybody to think I'm asking them to do something that I'm not doing. Typically what happens is, I would bring my car up. They would load my car with a number of different boxes. They'll give me a list of a few addresses. We try to make sure the addresses are all in the same neighborhood, so somebody's not driving east side to west side or Pontiac to Detroit.
Right.
But we go out, I typically will call the individual and say, hi, it's Portia Roberson. I have your Focus Hope box. I'm going to put it on your porch. Wait till I back away. You can look out the window. When I get back to the sidewalk, please open up your door and get your box. I don't want to leave it out there for too long. I don't want somebody else to get it. But I want to make sure that I'm safe distanced away from the door when they open the door to grab their box inside. And that's been working out very well. We've had to do that over and over again because, again, like I said, many of our seniors who typically would have come out and used our food store as a shopping experience can't do that right now. And so we've just been dropping the boxes off to them. And then we have people who come in and just drive their car up, and we'll drop it in your car, just like a Kroger or a Target or a Walmart or a Myers.
Portia Roberson, hang on for 1 second. We need to take a quick little break. And when we come back, we'll find out, is it deja vu for Focus Hope's historical mission? We'll be right back. Focus Hope has always lived with and lived up to its mission, which was established umpteen number of years ago, right after the '67 riots, and Father Cunningham and Eleanor Jositis. But when I look at what's going on, not only in Michigan, but across this nation today, look at some of the issues that bay, it almost seems as though we've come 360 degrees from where we were in 1967 in terms of the purpose and the mission of Focus Hope.
Yeah, Chuck, I'll be honest with you. I think the day, in the days following George Floyd's killing or murder, I wrote a letter to our staff about how our organization was started out of a similar incident and how Eleanor Jositis and Father Cunningham thought that intelligent and practical action was the best way to sort of get beyond the issues that led to the rebellion of 1967. I shed a few tears writing that letter because I felt like, here we are again, and it's 2020, and I'm writing a letter that basically speaks to the same. I could have written this letter in 1967 or 1968. And so it's disheartening, but heartened by the fact that I see so many people that are making sure that this time around we get it right, or we go a little further and looking at systemic changes that need to be made. So, I say above and beyond the workforce and the Food for Seniors and our youth programs, our Head Start programs, we're an advocacy organization. We are about race and social justice for everybody. And so we're going to be very active in that space, very deliberate in trying to make systemic changes that don't make sure that everybody's treated fairly in this country and certainly in this region.
And have you been able to keep up with your training programs? Because that has certainly been a hallmark of Focus Hope, is bringing people in, giving them the skills that they need to be able to go out, get good jobs, take care of themselves and take care of their families.
Yeah, we have. I mean, our workforce program pivoted right away. We've made arrangements for people to have internet service if they didn't have the internet service. We've made arrangements for people to have iPads or laptops that they could use so we could teach and instruct virtually. I would say, it was hard to, it was a quick pivot, but one of the things it forced us to do is think about what the future of Focus Hope looks like, to make sure that we can engage our students in every case, wherever they are, we can meet them where they are. And so we were able to really continue to do that. And now that we're seeing sort of some of our larger employers coming back online, we're really finding out that people need people to come in and work. And so we're going to develop some processes by which we can get a database of people who are looking for jobs, and that they come through Focus Hope and we can get them working sooner rather than later. Some with training programs and some that don't even need the training programs.
Quick final question. You've worn a number of hats over your career, very interesting career. What is it that you're getting out of being CEO of Focus Hope on a personal basis?
Yeah, I've said this so many times, throughout the course of my career. I started out, I'm a lawyer, I'm still a lawyer, but I started out practicing law primarily in Frank Murphy, doing criminal defense work, was a prosecutor, worked for a hospital system, done a number of different things. But as my career proceeded, I think I got farther and farther away of being able to look back over the course of a week or a month and know what kind of impact I'd had. I got more into policy writing, or kind of the abstract ideas of what needed to be done. Focus Hope has allowed me the opportunity to see every day what I'm doing with my life, right? I think that people think that I'm doing for others, but it's doing so much for me in terms of allowing me to see, one, how much need there really is, and reflect on how blessed I am by some of the things that I don't need. but also to really see, how I can have an impact on a day-to-day basis. And so I'm having a great time at Focus Hope, if that makes sense to anyone. Just because I think we've got an incredible staff at Focus Hope. We're on solid financial footing for the first time in a while. And so it really feels good to be able to help people out when they need that help. And I just encourage people, if they need something, to call us. If we can't do it, we certainly know some partners who can. And there's no shame in asking for help, especially during these kind of times. Everybody needs a little help.
Well, as my grandmother used to say, to do a good job, you have to like the job that you're doing, and obviously you enjoy what you're doing. Portia Roberson, thank you so much for joining us, CEO of Focus Hope. Keep up the good work, and let's stay in touch with all that's going on in our world today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Chuck.
It's our pleasure. Stay safe. And coming up, Chris Collins, President and Artistic Director of the Detroit Jazz Festival. We'll be right back. Chris Collins, he is the President and Artistic Director of the Detroit Jazz Festival and no stranger to the Spotlight Show. Chris, welcome back.
Thank you, Chuck. It's a pleasure.
How have you been navigating through all of this COVID-19 on a personal level? You look like you're doing well.
Well, doing pretty well. As a musician, we like to spend a lot of time in the practice room anyway. So there's plenty of time for that. And of course, wonderful time with the family, and all that pays off in a big way.
Well, main thing is that you're healthy and you're staying safe and keeping that social distance. And we're going to get through this. 41 years that will mark this Detroit Jazz Festival. And I think a lot of people were really fearful that there wouldn't be anything and that you were going to have to cancel the whole kit and caboodle, but you're not doing that, right?
No, we're not. Starting back at the end of March, we started to put together a task force to explore contingency plans, seeing that there may be a need for it, and certainly there was. We came up with several variations, and working with the CDC guidelines and the state and our city to understand the data and what would be appropriate. We moved slowly, and I know in fact, all other major jazz festivals canceled this year, and many people asked me, why didn't you just cancel? But as you know, there's a need for art, there's a need for jazz, there's a need for a light at the end of the tunnel. But there's also the entire Jazz Fest Foundation team and the crew and the musicians. There's a lot of economic development there, and we wanted to be very careful not to simply wipe that off the board too early on.
Sure. Was there a lot of pressure, and was there almost that point where you just said, you know what, we just can't make this work, or maybe we shouldn't make it work, even though you later decided, okay, we're going to do this?
My only definitives were that it had to be live jazz in Detroit. Mm-hmm. It's not from different places zoomed together or something. It has to be live jazz
or anything like that. Yeah.
Right, and we had to be able to maintain the quality that reflects the artistry and what our patrons expect. So we're broadcasting in many formats, and but the capture is all custom built sound stages, all in the Marriott complex, 3 camera shoots, high definition audio and video. We want to raise the bar on what is possible in these kind of streamed and broadcast environments, and I think people are going to be very pleased with what they're able to hear and see and experience at the 2020 Jazz Festival.
Obviously it'll be a little different. They won't be able to go to all of these various sound stages the way you normally have spread out throughout downtown Detroit. For lack of better words, you're going to almost be doing this sort of in a bubble there at the Marriott to keep everyone safe. But as you said, it'll be live, and there will be ways that people can tune into it virtually and and pull it all together. You still get that musical experience, although it'd be a little different.
It will be. Our motto is changed to the 2020 Detroit Jazz Festival: safe, free, and live, because we wanted all those things to be there. And I can tell you that we've changed the format in that after opening night, there will be 12 hours per day of continuous jazz performances throughout September 4th through the 7th. And so when people tune in, we certainly have our good old standby technology we've developed over years, the Detroit Jazz Fest Live app that has high definition and you can see the whole festival. But we also want to make sure this was free, and we stand by that mission. So in addition to having the entire festival broadcast on WDET Public Radio. There'll be simulcast sections on WRCJ and WEMU and on Detroit Public Television. And also, with the help of the city, we're going to be doing the whole festival will be broadcast on the new Channel 22 Arts and Entertainment channel. The point being that even if people don't have Wi-Fi access, they have free access through radio and television to the festival. And I think this upholds our mission to make sure that this music, this art is available to everyone, and in this case, everyone across the nation. So it's going to be a very important broadcast this year.
All right, we need to take a little break. We'll come right back with some more questions and really drill down on some of that lineup that you alluded to earlier. We will be right back with Chris Collins of the Detroit Jazz Festival. Stay with us. And welcome back to Spotlight, talking to Chris Collins of the Detroit Jazz Festival. Drill down on the lineup for this year a little bit, because I know that there are some acts that you obviously probably had booked for this year before all the COVID hit. Obviously that didn't work out. People can't travel, all sorts of things. But you got so many artists in our own backyard, and then you're probably supplementing that with people who can get to Detroit still.
Exactly right, and we have world-class artistry here in this city, a long tradition, and we really want to make the 2020 Jazz Festival about our hometown artists and the amazing plethora of projects going on. But as you said, we still do have some of our out-of-town national artists, some legacy artists, and we're working very carefully with them to help any way we can to keep it as safe as possible. But one of the real highlights this year, we're going to be celebrating the 80th birthday, the only festival that was able to do this, and we really wanted to pull it off, as did he, was with the great Pharoah Sanders.
Oh, wow.
His 80th birthday right at the Detroit Jazz Festival, live in Detroit. It's going to be very special. We also have Robert Glasper coming in, the great Renee Marie, Steve Turre, Joey Alexander will be with us. And then we have this incredible lineup of Detroit artists that include folks like Robert Hurst and his new Blackcurrant Jam project, the Sister Strings, Roots Voice and Drums project, Rodney Whitaker Sextet, Walter White's Big Band, Lulu Fall and Chris Johnson, David McMurray, Henry Connerway III, a great drummer from Detroit, living in New York for a while, Agankwo, a wonderful Latino-based group, Galen McKinney and the McKinney Zone, our legacy artists Ursula Walker and Buddy Budson this year, along with Dr. Professor Leonard King's big band, the Tartar Sauce Band, Alex Harding Afro Horns, and a number of young and established artists, new projects and established projects that will have something for everyone. And the way we've done it, all in the myriad of these sound stages, the artists have complete isolation, a lot of protocols in place to keep them safe, even on stage, appropriate physical distancing. And when an artist plays on stage, there's no one on that particular sound stage for 1 to 2 hours before they arrive. So everything is completely cleansed, and any vapors in the air are allowed to settle. This really gives a lot of protection to these great artists and protects the art, but at the same time gives us an opportunity to showcase, as I said, 12 hours a day. It's an amazing and sort of unique, one-of-a-kind style programming.
Chris, were you able to hold on to some of those key sponsors? Because you have a lot of sponsorship for this. It is the world's largest free jazz festival. Did that get severely impacted because of COVID-19?
You know, I really have to say a very special public thanks to our corporate sponsors and our donors. Many of them, most of them stepped up and they said, we're with you, man. We understand. We are with you. We know it's going to be back to the traditional festival in 2021, God willing. And we want to make this as good as you want to make this. So they stood by us. And of course, along with the private donors and especially our angel of jazz, the key to it all, Gretchen Valade, who just was immediate to say, let's do this and let's do it right.
She's a Detroit treasure, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Great. Talk just a quick second, a little bit of time we have left. The artists in residence that you've had all year long, I know that got adjusted a little bit, obviously because of COVID, you had to do some things a little differently, but that always plays into the Jazz Festival.
It does. You know, our artist in residence was the great Dee Dee Bridgewater, who's been incredibly supportive, and you're going to see some video pieces from her. Unfortunately, because it was so early in the year that we had the lockdown, we were unable to complete the residency and all the wonderful visits and interactions with our community. So we have postponed her residency, as we have with a number of the artists. So you'll be seeing them again, and we'll have a lot more space and time and wonderfulness to put that together to make it what it should be. Because ultimately, it's not about just doing it. It's about doing it right, which is Gretchen's vision, it's the foundation's vision, and it's certainly my vision.
Final question. This town loves its jazz. It loves its music of all different types. But talk about in these type of conditions that we're all navigating through now, what does music do for the soul, for people in general, just trying to help them get through all the stresses that they're facing?
Yeah, well, you know, particularly jazz is so welcoming to everyone. It has its roots, it has its place it comes from, its legacy, but it welcomes everyone musically, as patrons and otherwise, and that results in a music that really binds us all together, particularly in Detroit with the unique symbiotic relationship we have with jazz. And, you know, as far as what we need, I've said from the beginning when I was asked, why are you pursuing this? And I said, we need hope. We need a light at the end of the tunnel. We need some positive vibe to balance out the seriousness of the situation and the sullen nature of what we all are facing. And I think jazz will do that, particularly in Detroit, in a very special way. The fact that it's live, that people will be seeing it in real time as it's happening, reminds them that the world is still turning. There's still beauty, there's still connectivity and love amongst all of us. And I think that will be a very special part of the entire 2020 Detroit Jazz Festival, with the understanding that, hey, if data takes a turn for the worse, we're watching it every day. We'll be the first to pull plugs if we have to. But as of now, it is a shining light that we are all looking forward to.
Well, and as you said, it's free, it's live, and it's safe. The Detroit Jazz Festival, the 41st, Labor Day weekend, as always. We look forward to it. Chris Collins, thanks so much for joining us. Stay safe and keep playing that good music.
Thank you, and a special call out to our presenting sponsor, Rocket Mortgage, who has really stepped up. Yep, you got to give it to them. They're great.
They've stepped up in so many ways in this town, and this is just one more thing to add to their list. Thanks so much. All right, good seeing you. That's it for this week. Thanks to Portia Roberson and Chris Collins. I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the spotlight. We hope you have a great week.